When I was a young kid, I'm a Napolitano, born in the Bronx. Different trip, man. Hey, you elect me. I'm gonna end out Ukraine war in 24 hours. All right. Mertz, Heil Mertz, we're building up our military. We have to stop those Russians. We've only killed 25 million of them in World War II. The bigs are getting bigger and the rest of the people are getting poorer. Let's go back to the BRICS. They've had enough of the United States hegemony, geopolitically and economic. The death of the dollar is going to happen. The lower the dollar goes, the higher gold prices go. I know your heart's in the right place, but you don't have a clue what's going on, and neither do the American people. Because if they did, there'd be a revolution in this country. You got to bring back that spirit of a renaissance. That's the way I see it.
Ladies and gentlemen, tune your trend trackers on, secure your coffee cups, because today we get to welcome the man who has predicted yesterday, foresaw today, and is already shouting the headlines from tomorrow. He's the founder of the Trends Research Institute, an author, a relentless truth teller who has a knack for forecasting everything under the sun, from financial meltdowns to the gourmet coffee booms. We here at Think BRICS are especially proud to have with us today, as longtime fans of his sharp insights and his fearless forecasting. Without further ado, I want to give a warm welcome to the always ahead of the curve, Gerald Celente. Gerald, thank you so much for coming on to the show with us today.
Thank you for having me on. And as we were talking before we went on the air, we published the Trends Journal magazine, and it's over 200 pages a week. And
Yep.
I've never worked harder in my life. And we give people from high-tech science to AI to geopolitics to economics and technocracy. And I have to tell you, I'm heartbroken to see what in the world is going on, and so few people standing up to fight for what we used to call truth, justice in the American way.
Yeah, times are definitely getting tough for everyone, but needing to stand up for our individual rights and freedoms is something that should never really escape us. And I do want to kick off today with just a question that, quite frankly, everyone's talking about is what is going on with Donald Trump right now? So, like, a lot of people thought that the White House would act differently, especially when we're talking about foreign policy. And since he took charge about 6 months ago, it's quite frankly been a real roller coaster. What do you think is going on?
Well, this is from this week's Trends Journal. This is part of the economic update. Again and again, week after week, month after month, we have detailed another wild card, which is one of our top trends, and another trump card are played, and where it goes, nobody knows. It is the way of Donald Trump world, and the world knows it. Think about it. Can you get more mainstream than the Financial Times newspaper? This is the headline from an article. It's in Monday's paper. Quote, mixed signals from the White House typify chaotic Trump trade policy. Chaotic. And then again, this is from a few weeks ago. As the old saying goes, you can't make this, I can't use the word up here, but it's the word crap, but you spell it with an S and H and I and another word. But as we detail, since Donald Trump won the race to the White House in 2024, with every passing day, from the tariff war to the Israel war to the Ukraine war to the Yemen war to the Iran war, another day, another promise, and another promise broken. In office for just 6 months and nearly 3.5 years ago, as trend forecasters in the business for 45 years, where it goes in the above war categories, nobody knows. Again, the tariff war, the Ukraine war, the other wars. Again, as we have noted, never before have we identified a wild card as one of our top trends, which along with the Trump card are being played in 2025. Need more proof? Let's start with the tariff war, and we go on. Every day it's a different thing. Hey, you elect me. I'm going to know Ukraine won 24 hours. All right, all right. Hey, now that I'm elected, I'm going to know well before I get it inaugurated. All right, all right. This guy spews out crap day after day after day. Liberation Day. Oh, yeah, we're going to put all those tariffs on all those countries. 3 days later, boop, hey, I changed my mind. All right, all right. How come you change your mind? Because the markets are crashing. It's a guy. The guy is a narcissist. And again, I want to make this 1,000% clear. To me, they're all pieces of scum in a country near you. They all are crap to me. Can't stand any of them. And when I say country, that's what I mean. Or you like that little Gatson Macron, that little nothing of a Starmer boy? Mertz, Heil Mertz, we're building up our military. We have to stop those Russians. We've only killed 25 million of them in World War II. Look at the scum all over the earth. There's a great quote by former President Dwight D. Eisenhower, five-star general, Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces. He was a professor, a president at Columbia University, and they wanted to run for president. You could look it up. He said, any man seeking the office of president is either an egomaniac or crazy. And you got crazy in front of your eyes.
Yeah, and like all of the crazy impacts with the tariffs, like companies can't even predict what's going on inside and outside the country. You've argued tariffs can boost the United States self-reliance, kind of like Russia after what's going on with the sanctions right now. But do you think that Trump's tariffs against BRICS nations are actually strengthening America in the long term, or is it risking backfiring by reshaping relationships in global trade?
There's no question that it's backfiring because of the kind of tariffs he's putting on and where he's putting them on and why he's putting them on. With a 50% tariff on Brazil because that guy Bolsonaro, they're bringing him up to court. What the hell? What do I care about that? What the hell do I care about that? Hey, when Delula was in prison, how come Trump, you were in office? How come you didn't want to get him out? I don't like that guy. I don't like him. All right, all right. Hey, don't you know who I am? I'm a spoiled, rotten daddy's boy. I'm the same age as Trump. I knew his brother Robert. He had a restaurant over here in Wasaic, across the river from where I'm up in Kingston. The brother told me when the father died, he left the family over $500 million worth of real estate. When I was a young kid, I'm a Napolitano, born in the Bronx. Different trip, man. Anyway, they couldn't control me. I was the youngest of five right after the war. The spirit of America is at the height. The threat I used to get all the time, you little SOB, we're sending you to military school. You think I'm going to go to military school? Well, I'm thinking about a chick's cause. My mother, may she rest in peace, a great Italian woman, a great food. I'm going to eat that crappy food, get dressed up in a costume, go to bed, wake up, be told what to do. I'll be good. I'll be good. Trump was so narcissistic, they sent him to military school. Cornwall, New York, in the middle of nowhere. Imagine being a teenager, dressing up in a stupid drag every day and being told what to do. That's how narcissistic he is. He does what he wants, doesn't care about anybody else, only cares about the bottom line.
It's all just one massive political tool. Like he
That's
thinks
all.
that he could just do only thing for the dollar. He knows the dollar is the best weapon he really has at this point. And all he's doing is he's turning his back on not just allies that the country's had for decades, but also, the most emerging economies in the world right now being countries like Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and now trying to leverage this 50% tariff on India
Yeah.
for agricultural products, not realizing that India can't even handle that. They have to provide for their own workers and everything like that. It's all getting them to turn away from the United States, and
Yep.
we're all going to suffer for it.
The India, only 2% of India's GDP has to do with exports to the United States. So they're not going to stop buying Russian oil. And again, what the hell do I care? I'm an American. This has nothing to do with me. Going back to tariffs. This is a t-shirt that I got made up in 1992 when Bill Clinton ran for office. All right? Hey, I didn't have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. She only sucked my... That little slime ball took American jobs and sent them to Mexico. NAFTA. Manufacturing. I'm up in Kingston. These are shirt factories all over the place up here. Hey, how about the Rust Belts? Manufacturers paid high wages compared to working for Target, Walmart, Home Depot. They pay nothing. Again, we only do the job numbers by the facts, like with the Trends Journal. Look at the jobs that are being created. Again, hardly any of them now, but they're in healthcare and social services and hospitality sectors. They're not paying anything. Going back to manufacturing, when Biden put sanctions on Russia, when the Ukraine war broke out in February of 2022, he said, quote, Putin will pay the price. And we said, no, he won't. Russia has they have what they need to be self-sustaining, technologically, scientifically, philosophically. These are very bright people. They became self-sustaining. All those companies that left, remember, Russians took it over. Let's go to China. Before Bill Clinton brought them into the World Trade Organization, look at their GDP. It's like that from 1970 to 2001. They bring them into they bring them into the World Trade Organization. Their GDP shoots up. The Western nations gave China all the high tech and heavy industry manufacturing they never had before, so they can make more money. Manufacturing jobs bring in higher wages. And then you go back, and again, I'm a political atheist. It's not who I like, what I want, what I wish. It's what is. Look now at the money coming in because of the tariffs that are being put on these other countries. I think it's like another extra $72 billion just came in. So I'm positive on the tariffs for that, but not the stupid tariffs. Again, they sold us out. And here's how they sold us out so bad. You can look at the facts. Go back to when China first got into the World Trade Organization and look at the amount of car sales, for example, from General Motors, from Ford, from Volkswagen, from Mercedes-Benz, from one after another in China. They were booming. Remember? Not anymore. We gave China all the high tech and heavy industry that they never had before. And now they're the world leaders in EVs. And where's China doing? Oh, they're not exporting as much to the United States. They're exporting more to other countries. So again, they sold us out with Bill Clinton. And again, that scumbag, he did away with the Glass-Steagall Act so the big banksters could get bigger. The Federal Communications Act, 1996. There were thousands of independent radio stations, TV stations, newspapers. Now you got 6 companies control all the media in the United States. The bigs have taken over everything.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. Where I live right now, the 2 most local newspapers operate in the same building. Just, the Free Press, they get the top, the Times, they get the bottom. It's, you're not going to get you're not going to get unbiased news when they operate like this.
No, you're getting propaganda every day. Again, I call it the New York Times. They call them the paper record. I call it the toilet paper record. It's a bunch of crap. And again, it's the numbers came out. I just had them here. Yes, subscriptions went flying through the roof. The New York Times, and why? I mean, it's a piece of junk. We didn't get In the last 2 days, we didn't get one trend-worthy article from the New York Times. Not one. Just total propaganda. They say what they want to say, and they're paid off by everybody. And
Yeah.
again, there's no journalism anymore. It's all propaganda.
Like it's hilarious when you compare something that is popular as the New York Times, that you when you have the Trends Journal that is completely independent, completely removed from the biased mainstream media that we're seeing nowadays, completely ad free once you when you have a subscription, and actually able to nail down trends like the 1987 stock market crash, the dot-com bubble burst, the gold, how well gold has been performing, to even the panic of '08. The New York Times didn't. They actively dismissed all of this.
Not only that, when I call the Panic of '08, they made fun of me. They made fun of me when I called it. And by the way, I'm no longer on Alex Jones. He took me off. I used to be on him for many, many, many years. One after another, they're taking me off. We're getting hate mail daily because I'm against the Israeli genocide, and on and on and on. It's very sad. I'm very, very disappointed. And I've known Alex a lot of years, and no longer there. Because I won't suck up to Trump, bow down to Musk or anybody else. And by the way,
Yeah,
there's no advertisements in the Trends Journal, so nobody tells us what to do.
absolutely. So for everyone here watching, if you guys want to get a subscription to the Trends Journal, we have a link for it in the description, and please be sure to hit the code BRICS to get 10% off of your subscription. I, for one, have always used the Trends Journal. It's been an invaluable resource in my own economic research, but also, quite frankly, tracking things on the global stage that is completely dismissed and not even discussed in any
Yeah.
popular newspaper like the Wall Street Journal, New York Times. If you want good, independent, non-biased news that actually pays attention to what matters, go to the Trends Journal. And
It comes out to the grand total when you hit your link to $2.50 a week.
and
Nothing.
how much is the Wall Street Journal?
It's $5 a day. The toilet paper record $4 a day, $5 on the weekend. And all it is big pictures now because they don't have journalism anymore. You Google up a copy of the New York Times, 1970, any date in 1970. Not a picture on the front page, hardly a picture anywhere. Now, one big picture after another. They've done away with journalism. All gone, all gone. Big pictures, big pictures. Same thing with the Wall Street Journal. I got a
No.
Wall Street Journal, big front page a couple of weeks ago about Bezos getting married, the chick with the fake boobs with a big platform on it, he could walk across this. I got to see this crap. What the hell do I care? This guy got married. And by the way, if I had to look like that guy, I wouldn't want your billions, man. You keep it. To make it clear, or Gates or any of them. But anyway, that's what it is now. It's all pictures and propaganda. I call them prostitutes, media whores that get paid to put out by their corporate pimps and government whoremasters.
Yeah, all to just feed the same narrative that we've been hearing for, it feels like, what, the last 20, 30 years at this
Yep.
point. It's just the
Yep.
same. It's just the same thing. So be sure to get a subscription to the Trends Journal to actually pay attention to some news that matters. But I want to transition to another important topic right now, which is AI. And we're already seeing how much AI is transforming our lives here. And we've also seen that BRICS countries at the Rio declaration at their summit in Brazil is also starting to pay a lot more attention to this and seeing how it's going to play out in their own economies and policies. But you've often projected like this AI bubble is set to burst. Why do you think that is?
You mentioned that we call it the dot-com bust. Here's the Trends Journal back in the fall. It was a quarterly back then, the fall issue, 1999, dot-com this. We said it would bust by the second quarter 2000. Trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. I'll go back to 1999. The internet revolution was born. Only like it really started really taking off around 1994. And they started inventing all the stuff that made no sense. Everybody was very excited about it. And we said, no, they're overinvesting in things that aren't real. Now let's go back to AI. Trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. They say AI was born 2022. That's 3 years ago. It's still an infant. You don't invest all your money in the trend that's just born. And that's what they did. So now let's see what happened. Let's just go back. It's ancient history, January of this year. Oh, DeepSeek. Oh, a Chinese company. Huh. $6 million to do our AI, not $100 million. Oh, we don't need those big chips. What happened? NVIDIA's stock went down, what, 17% in one day? 600 billion wiped out? Oh, yeah, it bounced back up. Okay. Now, let's put the trend together. In tracking trends, you have to make connections between different fields. I mentioned Slick Willie over here. Yep. That guy. Brought China into the World Trade Organization. They officially come in 2001. Go back to 2000. How many Chinese 18-year-olds are in college, going to college? 10%. What's it now? Nearly 70% of Chinese 18-year-olds are going to college. Again, you look at China's GDP from 1970 to 2001, it was like this. They get into the World Trade Organization, it skyrockets. Going back to AI, young people are totally addicted to the high-tech world and AI. Totally addicted. This is their life, and they're going to college to do everything they can to learn more and more about it. They are way more advanced college-wise than in our country. Oh, you want a degree in what? Art history? No, how about gender studies? All right, they go in there, they're learning this stuff. We saw what happened with DeepSeek, and again, we put the facts in the Trends Journal. The Chinese government is investing like crazy into AI. It's the future. Love it, hate it. Again, and then going back to the job losses. Woo, they're getting wiped out. AI's taking them out. Oh, and going back to the media, all propaganda, that's going to be the whole future. So anyway, there's going to be a dot-com bust of the overinvested companies that aren't going to go anywhere in the United States, and China's going to take over. You got, again, 1.4 billion people versus 347 million in the United States. Who do you think's going to win?
And we haven't even talked about the fact that based off the recent abysmal jobs report, Trump decided to fire the head of the national, I believe it was the National Bureau of Labor, like the NBER or something of that nature, because of how awful this job report was. It's
Yep.
like, is it like, do you already see this basically this folding like a house of cards like it is now? Like, is this the kind of the flare, as it will, like that it's going to stay like this?
It's going to get worse. It's a global slowdown. I mean, the numbers are there. Look at the OECD numbers, all of them. It's everything was artificially propped up with the COVID war. People forgot about that. And by the way, well, Trump locked down America on Black Friday, March 13th, 2020. Google it up and look how much he brags about the Operation Warp Speed jab. All right? What did he do? After he locked down, I thought everything would bust. Did I think they're going to bring interest rates down to zero and pump in trillions of dollars of fake money backed by nothing and printed on nothing? Not only in the United States, around the world. Everything was artificially propped up for years. And now it's ending. It's ending. And the bigs are getting bigger and the rest of the people are getting poorer. The facts are all there. Here, this is an article from the Wall Street Journal on Tuesday. Big firms start to see tax law windfall. All right? It's right here. You know, it says Trump's was this one big beautiful bill. Yeah, one big beautiful bill for the one rich people. Again, not our data, the data from from one group after another. That go back to his last tax bill in 2017. The 1% got 64% of the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing now. If people are earning over $663,000 a year are getting the most benefits from it. So the thing is going to go down. The middle class is shrinking. The poor are getting poorer. And nobody's talking about the office building bust. Again, you look at the vacancy rates. It's about 20%. It was about 11% before the COVID war. Again, in 5 years, now the leases are coming up. You're going to see defaults. Nobody's talking about it. Look at the office occupancy rate. It's around 50%. So a lot of people are still working from home. Because, again, you had 10 stories in an office building, people in these little cubicles, you're not seeing them anyway. Yeah, stay home. I don't need all this space. I don't see anyway. So there's going to be an office building bust, a dot-com bust. Things are going to get a lot worse, but don't worry about it. When all else fails, they take us to war. And that's what we're very afraid of coming up next. And now what's going on with Israel, now they said they're going to steal more land in Gaza. And the United States totally supports it.
What does do you think, because we see the United States' hand really, what's going on in Gaza right now, we could talk about Ukraine with Russia, or with, Taiwan, Myanmar with China. Are all these kind of proxy wars in a way flaring up because the United States really has no economic leg to stand on?
Again, let's go back to the Israel war. Let's go back. Netanyahu gets into office at the end of December 2022. Go to the major newspapers, all the major media. He brings in, quote, an extreme right-wing government. Again, we only write the facts in the Trends Journal. Week after week, month after month, they're killing Palestinians in the West Bank. They called Gaza, not my language, the language, an open-air concentration camp. So then Hamas attacks on October 7th. We only put the facts in. 3 days later, it was reported that the United States and Egypt warned Netanyahu, his government, that they were going to attack. Months later, Israeli newspapers like Haaretz, Times of Israel, reported that they were warned they were going to attack. Again, when all those fails, they take you to war. So let's go back to 2023. After Netanyahu gets in there, he tries to pass his Judicial Reform Act, which basically said he keeps trying to avoid going to court for the crimes that they say he committed. There were 39 weeks of major protests going on in Israel before the Hamas attack. Not my language, the language from Theodore Herzl, the president of Israel. Look it up. There's a civil war going on. Everybody's forgotten about this. Oh, civil war? Hamas attacks, everybody forgot about the civil war going on. We're going to have total victory, Trump said. Trump, Biden, Greenberg, Iceberg, what's the difference? Netanyahu said we're going to have total victory. Everybody forgot about the protests going on, his Judicial Reform Act. When all else fails, they take you to war. Here, Google up. Franklin Roosevelt seizes Japanese assets. Google it up. Mainstream media, History Today.
Yep.
In July of 1941, I think it was July 26th, Franklin Roosevelt seized all Japanese assets in America. Now remember, the Great Depression's going on. How come he seized them? Why, those dirty Japanese invaded French Indochina. Wait a minute, French Indochina? What the hell are the French doing in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam? We're stealing their tin, their rubber, rape, pillaging. We're in Algeria, we're in Morocco, we're stealing everything we can. What the hell do I care? I'm an American. What do I have to do with this? The Dutch, the English, you can look it up, and the Americans cut off 3/4 of Japanese global trade and 88% of their imported oil. They only import 100%. Remember, they kill their trade, global trade, and cut off the oil. Can't understand why they bombed Pearl Harbor. I can't figure that out. All right? They don't teach you this.
No.
I didn't know this until 3 years ago.
It's just like you said, they need, some kind of false flag or some kind of excuse to raise tariffs on someone or put sanctions on someone. It's all part of it's all calculated. It's all by design to squeeze as much resources out of these areas and destroy whatever sovereignty these countries have for themselves. And now what you're saying too, what's going on in Gaza right now, their Netanyahu is driving straight into World War III. And
Yep.
if he's not going to lead to it, so will areas in what's going on right now with Ukraine and Russia. Like, what do you see as kind of a triggering event? Do you think something that's really going to cause it to cascade into a World War III?
Yeah, like a false flag event. Like, how about blowing up a nuclear power plant in Russia? Or do something and blaming it on the Russians. Again, it's a crime syndicate that's running the world. Let's go back to Biden. Putin's going to pay the price, he said. No, Putin didn't pay the price. They became more self-sustaining again. What did we do? Send about, depending on whose numbers you're looking at, between $200 to $350 billion for the war. Remember the great counteroffensive that was supposed to happen?
Yep. Yep, I do.
Remember how they bragged about that?
And how it's going to drive Russia all the way
that
back.
Straw boy, I forgot, General Jerkoff, I forgot what his name was in America, saying, well, arrogant pieces of crap. They spew out the garbage, and the people swallow it. Again, nobody talks about the counteroffensive. That was a total failure. So here's the deal. Trump is supposed to meet with Putin shortly. Russia's not going to give up the land that they've taken. 20% plus. They're not going to give back Crimea. They had an election, but everybody forgets about that in Crimea back in 2014. That was monitored by that world organization that monitors elections. And some 96% of the people said, we want to get out of this Ukraine thing. We want to go back to Russia. They're not going to give back Crimea. And nobody remembers, of course, that Ukraine was killing the Russian people in the Donbass region, over 15,000 of them, because when they overthrew the government of Yanukovych in 2014, which we detailed and wrote about in our Trends Journal as it was happening, that these are mostly Russian people. They didn't want to, they said, no, this isn't our government. This isn't what we voted for. So they were killing over 15,000 people. So now that land that Russia's taken over, they're not going to give it back. So I see a false flag event happening. And again, go back to 9/11. Remember the dot-com bust happened in several months before. The NASDAQ was down 80%. 80%. Little Georgie Bush, a little nobody with a pair of cojones smaller than a mothball, little spoiled daddy's boy, his ratings are in the toilet. All of a sudden, we're going to get that guy Osama bin Laden dead or alive. 90% of the people in America swallowed the crap coming out of that guy's mouth. Oh, we go into the Afghan war, the longest war in American history, another losing war. But yeah, we only killed several 100,000 people, only cost us tens of millions and millions, trillions of dollars. Hey, but we enriched the military industrial complex just like we've done with all the other wars, and now we're still doing. Oh, $1 trillion to the military industrial complex is our nation is rotting in front of our eyes. Roads, potholes everywhere, bridges. How about Amtrak? How about Amcrap? A third world rail system. Take the subway in New York. It's a night in Calcutta. But more money for the military industrial complex.
I mean, like as someone that's in America, you could see the decay in front of your
Oh,
eyes with everything just eroding around you because, like you said, they're taking all the money from us. Just when all these the effect of these tariffs that Trump is so proud of, it's only going to hit the middle class and everyone below that. Increased prices, increased instability, all of that will fall back on us with less government revenue. They're going to get more of it from us. It's all affecting and going to ruin the middle class here. But I want us to really be more optimistic about where the United States can go rather than where it is going, because no one likes the future that we're heading down.
it,
How can we be more hopeful about this
we
right
got
now?
to get it's a crime syndicate that people call a government. I just put slime ball Bill Clinton, genocide Joe Biden, Trump. Look at the little clown boys, one after another. I mean, the quotes. I was going through some back stuff over here. Again, yeah. Lindsey Graham. How could you get a little fat boy of nothing that couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag? Everybody quotes this little slime ball. Here he is, October 11th, 2023. Quote, we're in a religious war here. He went to Israel. I'm with Israel. Do whatever the hell you have to do. Hey, religious war? What if I don't believe in your religion? Could you handle that? Why am I in a religious war? I'm an American. Oh, you didn't like the Crusades, Celente? A religious war. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. What did Biden say? He's a proud Zionist. Zionist? A political movement created by Theodore Herzl? 1890s? I got to believe this stuff? Oh, Celente, I'm little Huckleberry. I'm a little fat slob from Arkansas. When my daughter was, she's the governor, and she worked for Trump. God gave Israel this land. He said it to Abraham 3,500 years ago. This land belongs to. Hey, Godson, what has God got lockjaw? You only talked to Abraham for 3,500 years ago. Never talked to anybody else before or after. I got to swallow your crap.
I it's just it's all beating those drums of war like they want to have. They need any excuse they can to keep ourselves there as long as possible, putting all the money into the military industrial complex,
Yep.
whether instead of like what you see with BRICS countries where they are building bridges, building roads, building all better sources of energy that they can rely on to make themselves better. But here in America right now, the only ones that are getting better are the ones that earn over $600,000.
Yep. Yep. No,
But
and the BRICS, by the way, get ready for the death of the dollar. Gold prices, I mean, as we're speaking, they're almost 3,000, 300 and what, $90 an ounce. And again, go back to your trends journal. Last year, we said it would be a golden year for gold. Gold went up 27%. It's up about another 28% this year. Let's go back to the BRICS. They've had enough of the United States hegemony, geopolitically and economic. The death of the dollar is going to happen. The lower the dollar goes, the higher gold prices go. Very simple. Gold is dollar based. So as other currencies go up, it's cheaper to buy the stuff. Number two, we came out before talking about the crappy employment numbers. And again, the jobs that are being created, you can look it up. Again, we write the details. They're low-paying jobs. They're in the healthcare sector. They're in hospitality sector. They're low-paying jobs and lousy jobs. So Trump is going to push Powell to lower interest rates. He did it before. He'll do it again. He did it back in 2018 when Dow had the worst December since the Great Depression. He forced Powell to lower interest rates. Powell did. They're going to do it again. Again, the BRICS have had enough. They're going to unite. They may come out with a gold standard currency. That might be a reality. Remember, the Bretton Woods, it was a gold standard. In 1973, they took us off. And what happened? The dollar had its worst year this year, since the beginning of the year, since 1973, when they took us off the gold standard. And also the Yom Kippur War, when the Arab nations stopped selling oil to the West, and a barrel of Brent crude, the price quadrupled. I'll make a long story very short. The Treasury Secretary back then in 1973 was John Connally. John Connally was the governor of Texas, as a Democrat, that sat in front of John F. Kennedy, that took the bullet in the back. And then he was the Republican Treasury Secretary under Richard Nixon that took us off the gold standard. He wanted to meet me back in 1992 when I had written this book, Trend Tracking, in 1989. And in it, I had forecasted there'd be a new third party and someone like Ross Perot. I went to meet him in Dallas. I have a photograph of me, him, and his wife, Nellie, in front of the book depository. Their first time back since the assassination. Again, going back to the dollar, BRICS, and everything else. And making a long story short, we're going back into the Anatole Hotel. And he said to me, I read your book. He said, a fine piece of work. And I know your heart's in the right place, but you don't have a clue what's going on, and neither do the American people. Because if they did, there'd be a revolution in this country. Again, this isn't only the John Connally that took the bullet in the back sitting in front of Kennedy. He almost died. As a Democratic governor, he was the Republican U.S. Treasury Secretary under Nixon that took us off the gold standard. All right? So, you're looking now at the world, much of the world we're talking about before. Let's just talk about China and India. What are we talking about? India has what, about 1.5 billion people? How many does China have? 1.4 billion people? How many does America have? 347 million? You don't have to be good at math to figure this out. America's had its day.
And we are now in the era of countries like BRICS, or truly the multipolar era, honestly. We're finally here. And you can see it with how countries are reacting to the trade threats, as well as how other countries are, quite frankly, pivoting away from the United States. And we're going to really see how the death of dollar really unfolds in the months and the years to come, thanks to Trump and every other administration that goes by the dumb logic.
Yep.
But
they sold us out. Again, a little slime boy like Bill Clinton. Google up, see how much he's worth. About $150 million or something. What, are you kidding me? He'll talk to the Goldman Sachs thing. He gets what, $300,000 an hour? You get this guy BS for free. They're payoffs, and it's chump change for what he's done. Oh, you remember he ended the Glass-Steagall Act, didn't he? Yeah. Oh, and that other slimeball, Jimmy Carter. Oh, yeah, he was the first one to try to he started the whole movement that allowed interstate banking. The Bank of America was only in California. There were only intrastate banks. Oh, and then slimeball Bill Clinton pushed it through. Again, the Glass-Steagall Act, one after another. Federal Communications Act, 1996. Again, there were thousands of independent radio stations, TV stations, newspapers. Again, we talked about it. And again, now the bigs own everything. 6 companies control 92% of the American media. One after another, they sold us out.
Yeah, it's quite clear that we need to make our voices way more heard and way more known across the entire country because it's the only way that everyone's going to hear and actually understand how the American people really feel.
We need a
But
third party.
mhm, we do.
And, a matter of fact, I'm having dinner with him tomorrow, Judge Andrew Napolitano. And we're having a peace rally up here in Kingston on September 27th at the Four Corners of Freedom, John and Crown Street. It's the most historic Four Corners in America. And the seeds of democracy was sown here about going through the whole. And I own three of the buildings: 1750, 1763, and 1774 building, the Academy. And we have a big garden where we're having the rallies. So September 27th, starting at 2 p.m. Napolitano is the only person I know. I do a podcast with him every Wednesday that knows the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that we've lost. He's a top cat at it. And I've been talking to him about it. I said, you run for president, your goal is going to be to bring back our rights on the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. I said, when it comes to the economy, you're not the guy. We bring in the top economic people. We bring in the top people for each field, unlike a Trump. Hey, I know everything about anything, all right? Don't you know who I am? I know everything, right? Get the hell out of here. We have to bring back democracy to this country. And the only way I see it is with a third party. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. I worked on major political campaigns in Westchester County, the richest county in America at the time. I designed a course, American Politics and Campaign Technology, how to run political campaigns. I taught at St. John's University. I've been on the other side. That's why I know what I know. And I'm telling you, there's never been a better time for a third party. But you need the dough to make it happen. No money, you don't go anywhere. End of story.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think we should definitely talk about that the next time that you can get onto the show about the personal liberties that Americans need to regain from literally this systematic removal, really, of our rights and our individual freedoms. But just until then, I do want to thank you, Gerald Celente. This has been really an incredibly insightful conversation. Like you being able to shed light on the impact of Trump's tariffs to the death of the dollar to how gold has risen as high as it is. You calling it out years beforehand really just shows your insight into all this, and I really want to appreciate you coming out to the show. And for our viewers, again, please be sure to hit the link below to get subscribed to the Trends Journal and enter the code BRICS to get 10% off of your subscription. Can't is infinitely better than any Wall Street Journal or New York Times subscription you'll ever get. You'll get independent, ad-free news that is very important to you in your daily life, as important it is to me. But again, thank you again, Gerald, for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for all that you're doing. And just my final word, everybody get in the best shape you can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You're in the fight for your life. And do something positive in any way you can for anybody that you can, and in to bring back a more positive movement. And to me, the only thing that's going to change this world is a renaissance. It happened after the Black Plague. There's your Italia Paisano over there. They used to say when the Renaissance began, alla Romana et alla Antica, in the manner of the Romans and the ancients, to describe the quality of their work. And to me, we have to bring back the spirit of the America from my parents' and grandparents' generation, may they rest in peace, when America was the place that everybody in the world wanted to come to. And now we have to bring that back. When I was a kid, they had the circus, the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. It went out of business. You know why? You don't have to step right up, step right up. See the fat man. See the tattooed lady. See the lady with the beard. You see him for free now out in the street everywhere. Look how this country's declined. We got to bring back the spirit of the America And I'm a blessed guy. Thank my parents and grandparents every day. Unlike Trump, my daddy didn't leave me any money. They left me everything of who I am. And I'm a Napolitano, born in the Bronx, born to be free. Ain't no place like the Bronx. And I want to bring that back, that spirit of this country. And when music used to be music and style was style and grace was grace. So that to me is the only way it's going to change. Facts don't mean anything to people. You got to bring back that spirit of a renaissance. That's the way I see it. And again, the motto of the Trends Journal is think for yourself. We don't tell people what to say.
Exactly. And I think I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Get on to the Trends Journal. Be kind to everyone you know. Treat people with respect and bring back the spirit for a much needed renaissance.
Yep.
It's a great way to conclude that. I'll
Thank
keep that. But again, Gerald, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to make sure to keep that in the forefront of my mind moving forward.
Thank you.